My name is Glenn Dodge, and I served in the U.S. Army from 1941 to 45, active duty. Following that, I was in the reserves to 1967. I started teaching in 37, and in a one-room school on Grindstone Island. You probably don't even know where it is. You do?
Mm-hmm.
Good deal. Well, there were 2 schools in the island at the time. I happened to be in school, and I had 48 kids in that one-room school from 1st through the 8th grades. It was a wonderful experience. I enjoyed it. I was drafted in October of 1940, but because I was teaching school at the time, why they gave me a deferment to the middle of the year, and then I had to go, and I joined the Army because I was asked to. I had the feeling that you should do whatever you can for your country. I always had that feeling, and so when I was drafted, I just went, and it was good. I thought it was right. My experience that first year in training,
Mm-hmm.
I sort of enjoyed it. It was not all fun by any means, but I thought it was good. And from there, I went to Camp House, Texas, and served with the 84th Division, and I was with them for the duration of the war.
Where did your travels take you overseas?
Went over to Europe and served in and from October right straight through to the end of the fighting. I was trained particularly for reconnaissance and patrol activity, motorized as well. And so I was fortunate as a Dickens. I was able to find routes to get through, to find where the enemy positions were, and I just played lucky, and I thought I did well. Well, the snow was about 8, maybe 10 inches deep, and we had just taken this hill outside of Hooflies, and they were shelling us, and I dove into a ditch that had like a trench that the Germans had used for a machine gun post, and so I dove in that as the shell came in, and these shells were bursting, and I was down here in the snow in that hole, and a shell hit in a little tree just about 20 feet from me, and I saw the blast out of the corner of my eye, and at the same time that shell fragment hit me in the arm, and that was it. It's supposed to have been serious. The surgeon said I'd never be able to bend my arm, but it worked because at that time I used to like a beer once in a while or anything else that would flow.
So it took a little while to recover, but once you recovered, I mean, you went right back to work, right?
Well, yes, I tell you why. That sounds stupid, but I had a lot of training in the infantry, and our company, when in fighting, lost men, killed, wounded, and so on. So you take new men who had never been exposed to any shell fire are the ones who get killed and wounded. So we got replacements from the signal, we got replacements from the artillery, we got replacements from the Air Force even. But these guys, you bring them up and they think that you stand up and shoot, but you don't. And these are the ones who get hurt. Now when I came back, from the hospital, I rejoined C as exec because I knew all the guys knew me, and it was good.
When you left in 45,
when I left in 45,
did you make the decision to stay in the military?
Oh yes.
Why?
As reserves.
Why?
Well, I felt very strongly that any man worth his salt should be willing to serve his country. That was my feeling. And so I decided I'd stay, but I had done my duty in the infantry.
What was your experience like in the reserves? What did you do? And you said you were an ordnance.
Oh, excellent. Served in different, like Fort Drum, Fort Dix, and so Fort Niagara, for 2 weeks only, active duty, but we had meetings every 2 weeks and had drills and so on. And that was good. Of course, I took part in those, but good. And we didn't get paid for it for a while. we showed up for meetings and so forth for free. There were a number of men that felt the same as I, that you should do what you can for your country, even though it costs you money to get to the meetings and so on. It was good. And when they started to pay us, December 48, I got a check. Wow! The kids in school never knew I was in their service. Not at all.
Why? Why do you think so?
I just didn't want to.
It wasn't something you wanted to talk about.
No, well,
Do you find it more important to talk about it now as the years have gone on?
yes.
Why?
Well, I'm not. The generations, 2 generations you see behind me. And so they don't have any feeling about World War II. You say Battle of the Bulge, and how many people 20 years of age and younger realize it, huh? So I don't talk. I can talk easier about it. I turned 100 years of age and in 1917, and I would be 102 in 1919. That October 13th, coming up in about 2 weeks. I think I've been blessed no end. To think that I have known so many good people and had so many good experiences, that's what comes to my mind.